Welcome to part 2 of the episode with Lisa Hurley.
Welcome to the Trill MBA Show, the career management podcast teaching Black women how to become unstoppable at work. I'm Felicia Ann Rose Anuha, aka the Trillist MBA, delivering the inspiring truth through strategies and tactics so you feel protected, confident, and ready to conquer your career. You know, you say loving yourself is about choosing alignment, even when it's uncomfortable. So what is the hardest thing you had to let go of to really start loving yourself on purpose?
I had to let go of the path. I had to let go of the path.
Oh, Jesus.
And you know, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. I mentioned it in the book. The path is in certain cultures, especially a lot of marginalized cultures. Listen, if you're not a doctor, lawyer, engineer, are you even worthy as a human being, right?
Right.
We know a lot. That's true for a lot of us, right? So the path is making sure that you're on one of those tracks already. If you're not on one of those tracks, it's like, okay, you've already reduced a bit in your quote unquote, in your value as a human being.
Right.
Right. Then you're supposed to graduate at the top of your class. You mentioned this earlier, get a good job, get promoted, go back and do your master's, MBA, whatever, get another job, get promoted again. And in between there, you're also supposed to, get an appropriate spouse, have the appropriate number of children. All of that is the path.
All of that. Yeah,
I had to let go of the path. That was one of the major things because I was actually, again, going back to remembering who you are and who you've always. I was never that person. I was never that person. I wasn't. I didn't realize it at the time. I think back to one of my jobs that I have in that I had in when I worked in Barbados. Barbados is an island in the Caribbean. A lot of the jobs available there are in the tourism industry, right? I was working at the front desk,
right,
and one of my bosses noticed, anytime they asked, hey, does somebody want to go and, I don't know, insert whatever it is, go and deliver this, go and check on, whatever. I was like, I'll do it. And eventually he's like, you don't like being at the desk, like stationary. And I was like, no, I don't. Your behavior will tell on you.
Yeah.
What they were asking to be done still needed to be done. Don't get me wrong. But he definitely noticed that, wait, Lisa's always the one that wants to be like, I want to run away. I don't want to be stationary at the desk. Number one. Number two is I eventually realized I do not have a customer service personality.
I love how you put that.
Yes. I don't have the personality. It's just like realizing that I'm being okay with that. This is why I do solitary things, like, right?
No,
so
and that's key right there.
You got to know yourself.
Right, yeah.
Because being realistic about who you are, about what you love, about what makes your soul and your spirit sing, all of that is part of loving yourself, right? And then translating that into, okay, well, who do I want to be now? How do I want to be in the world? Where do I want to be? I mean, this sounds like a typical corporate question. Where do I want to be 5 years from now? Well, guess what? Not in this company. And
you're
again,
saying the quiet part out loud, and I am here for it because I am the person that will say the quiet part out loud.
Listen, God has better in store for me. And so it's being clear about those things and being okay with walking away when they don't serve you and being okay to speak a different truth and claim a different reality for yourself. And so I had to walk away from the path and what had been expected of me all along and really delve into that. Actually, that might be true for some people, but it is not true for me. And that is okay. It's okay if I am not a corporate person, quote unquote. I am too direct.
You literally have to become an actress if you are direct. So at my time at a particular company,
that shall remain nameless,
I decided that I was going to adopt a persona.
Did your persona have a name, by the way?
No, I didn't give her a name because I think my spirit wasn't really aligned to this strategy, but I was testing this because I had a friend who told me about her Pollyanna. And I was like, oh, I think in this particular culture, that might work for me. So let me try it. And I started from day one, I had these rules. I'm going to grin and show my gums all the time. If my cheeks don't hurt at the end of the day, I didn't do it right. I am going to speak in higher pitched tones because my voice naturally is deeper. So I would say, talk like this. Oh my goodness, guys, that is awesome. Oh my God. Wow, really? Oh my goodness. And then to throw them off a little bit, one-on-one, I'd be like, now why are we doing this again? And make jokes and be, ha, 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 right? Because I'm building relationships. So one-on-one, I'd be a little more familiar. And that was always fun because that's closer to my actual personality. But in big meetings, like every Friday, we would have this team meeting on Teams. And I'd come on the meeting. Hey guys, happy Friday. Aren't y'all glad it's Friday? Oh my God, we're doing so good. I know it's rough, but we gonna make it. I just super positivity. And that worked. That was working well. I had never been received so well.
Oh, wow. That's actually a bit sad.
But then what had happened was...
What happened?
I saw George Floyd get killed on my TV.
Yep.
And then I broke character.
Y'all do it. So you saw that happen on TV and then you went to work the next day.
And
what had happened?
It took 48 hours. But see, what had happened was then they had you in these meetings, these listening. We want to listen.
Listen and learn.
And da-da-da. I was like, oh, y'all want to understand now? Let me tell you something.
Understand this.
You know what your problem is? Let me tell you what the problem is. You want to know what the problem is? You really want to know? No. Do you really want to know? So I went from, hey guys, da-da-da-da. And I think at first I tried to be like, well, I think what we need is understanding. And and then at a certain point I broke. I was like, nah, you know what? I'm tired. Like, stop acting like you don't know what to do. The human thing to do. Now, this is in the big meeting. I'm saying it. The human thing to do right now, if you have a direct report who's Black, you call them up on Teams and just say, hey, I just want to know, are you okay? How are you? And then just listen. Like, make space to listen to us. But y'all don't want to listen. Y'all won't listen because you're scared. What you scared of? Aren't we all human beings? Like, I had a whole child, and my friend, we worked together. He was like, what happened to Happy Friday?
Woo! That was a 180. That was like, pshh.
Listen, and then they didn't know what to think. They was looking at me, and I was like, you know what? I got this other offer over here, and y'all acting the fools. So I'm gonna go over here and make more money. So that's what happened.
Love that story. That's another part of, because we're talking about, the second part of the framework about, it's know yourself, and now we're in love yourself, right? That is also a part of loving yourself, is advocating for yourself to be treated appropriately. I'm never asking for anybody to kiss the proverbial ring. That's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for basic respect. Basic. I feel like it's basic.
It is.
You treat me with respect. I always say, look, the Lisa you get is based on you.
Amen.
Because another part of loving yourself is, you know what? Another thing, I'm not about to be the bigger person. No.
Amen.
No, not about to do that. Not about to do the thing where you disrespect me publicly but you want to talk about it privately. Oh, no. We're going to talk about it. I'll reply all in public, like how you started trying to disrespect me.
And let me tell you why that's important. I recently re-released an episode from last season with Raslyn Wooten. She is a PR comms executive. She owns her own PR agency now. She shared her story, her horror story, working for Target, being put on 3 pips.
What?
Then subsequently, she left Target, started working with a company called Invesco, and she actually sued them and won for discrimination. It was bad. But in that story with Invesco, her manager would intentionally tell her things to her face and be like, oh, you know what? Don't go to that meeting with that person. I'll handle it or whatever. And then the next day, so she doesn't go to the meeting. Then the next day, people are like, well, why wasn't Raslyn in the meeting? And then she goes, I don't know why she wasn't in the meeting. I'll have to talk to her about that. So then that would be an email. But then Raslyn would be like, but you told me not to go. And then she wouldn't respond to that email. She'd call her, oh, my bad. I forgot. I forgot I told you that. But now in email, it makes it seem like,
of course,
she told me to do something and I didn't do it. So and it's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important.
When you get that phone call, then to respond to email.
Send that email.
You so much for that. So glad we got to chat earlier. Right?
And you said this, and I just want to make sure that, let me know if there's anything incorrect with what I said. So that way, if they don't respond, their non-response means that there was nothing incorrect with what you said, and everything you said was correct. And then when you go to court, if you have to end up in court, Lord, I pray you don't have to end up in court. But if you end up in court, now you have your documentation. And if you guys haven't heard that story, go back and listen to those episodes, because I feel like we should make a movie out of it. It was wild. I was like, girl. But yeah, it's wild out here. Like I know I've been through it. I've heard a lot of stories, and it's like rewind the tape, put a different name in, put a different company name, and rinse and repeat. Like, it's amazing. It is a playbook. And you mentioned this in the book. Like, Becky ran the playbook. Listen. I was like, yes, she did. I already know she did. Once you said she cried, I was like, you're done for.
I still remember the thing is like, I actually wrote double what I was initially in terms of word count, right? And even with what you saw, some of it that has been deleted. Like, this is the edited down version,
right?
So so that's why I'm saying it's like there are so many stories, whether it is mine, yours, so many other Black women and people of the global majority, because this kind of thing happens all the time. And I remember after basically, the person was forced to apologize to me, and so she, very reluctantly called a one-on-one meeting. Sat down in this meeting in front of me, right? The supposed, I don't want to use the word victim, but you understand the person upon whom the harm had been perpetrated.
Exactly.
And she starts crying, and I literally tilted my head to this side, and I said, can you explain? No, I'm sure that didn't help. Can you explain to me why you are crying?
I say?
I can't share because only because the response might make the person fully recognizable, and I don't want to do that. I know you understand. Yeah. But it was so ridiculous because it's one of these things where it's like, my hair is purple, so I understand exactly what it's like to be a Black person. It was like one of those.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Because I, too, have been discriminated against from my purple hair.
And that's why you cry? Oh, no, that's not what we doing. But, let me give a tip. If you find yourself in a room with somebody crying, you get up you get a bottle of water and you say, drink this. And then after you drink, we can have a real conversation, because it is very difficult for the human body to drink water and cry at the same time. Great. And I'm not even saying, and don't even do it in a coddly way. Like, just matter of factly, drink, then we'll talk.
Yeah.
And just sit there and look at them crazy. And they get themselves together, because that's ridiculous. So I want to take a quick break, pay some bills. But when we get back, I want to get into, before I let you go, I want to get into the last section of your book about be yourself, because this feels dangerous for us for everything we've been talking about. But I think that you have given us a key, and I want to talk about that when we get back. And we are back. We are having a wonderful conversation with Lisa Hurley, author of Space to Exhale. I love the title of this book. It reminds me to breathe. Just the title alone reminds me to breathe. But better than just the title of the book are the actionable guides and steps to getting to a place to exist in the construct that we've found ourselves, but like get back to ourselves, love ourselves. And now, Lisa, the last section of the book talks about be yourself. And I'm gonna tell you, I am currently battling with this thing. This is why this book hit me so hard, because I'm battling about, how do I love myself? What does that mean? What does that look like? Like, I'm in this space in my life where I am trying to figure out exactly who I am or who I want to be. So for me, this body of work that you have lovingly put together, and every chapter reminding me to breathe, giving me different ways to breathe for different things. Like, I was just like, oh my God, I really be holding my breath.
We don't, the thing is like, we don't even realize it, because, to use the vernacular, right? We know that we can't just, otherwise something might pop off, right? Something might pop off and people could get hurt. And we're aware of that. We want to still be around and, for ourselves and our families. And so we almost hold ourselves tightly. Right? We hold ourselves tightly. We hold in our emotions. We hold in our feelings, our anger, right? And then beneath the anger, sometimes, the pain and the sadness, the disappointment, the feelings of unsafety and abandonment. We hold all that in because, like you were just saying, if we cry, if we let it out, if we express it, somehow that is seen as wrong. We are overtly or covertly punished for that, directly or indirectly. We're punished, right? And so we know we can't just let our feelings out, right? So we do hold our feelings in, and yes, we do hold our breath. We're all in almost a constant state of almost like not oxygen deficiency, but definitely a state of almost permanent tension, right?
Yes.
It's like many of us walk around, we hold our tummies in, right?
Yes, I do.
Listen, let your tummy out.
Listen.
You just breathe in, exhale, and let your tummy out. Let your tummy out. Ain't nobody looking at your belly right now, right? Yeah. Love your belly just the way it is. Because let me tell you, I'm just going to be frank, as a vice president and chairperson of the IBTC, right? My belly may or may not, allegedly, be further out.
Allegedly.
Hypothetically, may or may not be out of proportion to the B part of that acronym, right?
Right.
However, yet and still, my belly deserves to relax. All that tension who we holding the belly in for? Especially when you realize you're sitting now at home on your own couch in front of your own yourself. Netflix, eating your own chips and ice cream, who are you holding your belly in for? No, let's say you're doing a photo shoot or you have, I don't know, you're walking across the stage doing something, you're like, okay, I might need to I want to zip it
just for the angle. Just for the angle, right?
Right? All of that. So you do all of that, but let the belly go. Let your shoulders relax. Girl, your jaw. You know where we hold a lot of tension in our eyebrows? Right across here. Your eyebrows and just underneath. Yeah. When you realize, well, I'm holding all of this stress and tension, and for what? But it has become almost ingrained. And so that is why we have to consciously and repeatedly and consistently take these steps to exhale, take breath, let your belly out, let your waistline breathe, as I say. Yes. Kimonos open and let your waistline breathe. Yes. Yeah, let your waistline relax, let your belly relax. Who are we trying to impress at home on our couch? And if we are at the point where we can't even be ourselves in our own house, this is what the world has done to us. Mm-hmm. And so we have to push back against that. So be yourself in terms of showing up exactly as who you are, right? Going back to the other chapters, right? Mm-hmm. If you are the person, like I said, I am not a corporate girly as much as is possible now. Please out with common sense, right? I have a 9 to 5. I do the people damn work. I show up. I do the people's work. This is what I'm being paid to do. You act in integrity, right?
Yes.
But let me tell you, not an ounce more than that work. Not a happy hour, not a stretch. But again, this is for me. Bearing in mind, I'm at a different phase of my career.
Facts.
Y'all in your 20s, 30s, sometimes even 40s.
Go to the happy hour, guys.
Right? And
go build the relationship.
Build the relationships. Network. Do all of that. Act responsibly. Right?
Yes.
With all of those caveats in place.
Yes.
No, they're not getting anything more than what is contracted. Mm-hmm. Because I've done that. I've been there. I've done that. I've done the happy hours. I've done the trying to network. And this is as somebody who is extremely introverted. The amount of energy it takes for me to, and introverted and pretty much a teetotaler. So I don't drink either. And I'm supposed to spend my time that is for me and my family and my creativity and my puppy dog with, no. Yeah. So you have to know what you want and also be okay with, it's equally okay to want a job as it is to want a career. Let me say that again. It is equally okay to want and to have a job as it is to want and to have a career. A job and a career are not the same thing. They are not. Career has pathing in mind.
Amen.
There's pathing, there's progression, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure you can speak to this even more than I can.
And the job is what it is for the paycheck you to pay your bills.
Yeah. And that is okay.
Fuel what could be your career if you are creative and you're working to commercialize your creativity, then let the job fuel that. Yeah.
So do the job. Do the job responsibly, act in integrity, do what you are contracted to do, and then be done with it. And then do what you want to do. Right? I would also say part of being yourself is also knowing that you don't have to, everything doesn't have to be monetized. Right? So you also don't have to do well, if I'm not going to have a career, I'm going to have a side hustle and I'm going to, you don't have to do all of that.
Yes. Yeah, because I love in the book you talk about how your side hustle had a side hustle.
Listen.
And that led to some burnout.
Yeah, people did not realize I had a 9 to 5 because, I've now taken all of my, shall we say, corporate jobs off of my LinkedIn, right? Mm-hmm. Which feels wonderful. I'm like, I don't need them. I don't need them. I don't. Yeah. Which is beautiful. The people with whom I am going to collaborate in future are not going to care. I have to trust and believe that, right? Now, mind you, again, use logic. Did I copy paste all of that content into a Google Doc? If I ever,
Amen.
I'm just saying, you know, we believe in backups and we believe in receipts. So act with some logic. I'm not saying go and wipe out your entire LinkedIn. This is what I did for me. Documentation. Have your documentation. Keep your backups. So for me, if ever there comes a time where it needs to be reinstated, I have it there. I don't even need to think about it. Right. Yeah, and so it's okay to just be yourself, and in that acceptance, make adjustments to your life for it to truly reflect who you are and what you want for yourself, as opposed to blindly getting on what I call the treadmill of the path, and it feeling like motion with no progress, right? Yeah. You're just there and you're walking and you're walking and you're walking. You're like, wait, I am actually in the same place, because you go to job number 1 and then you hit that glass ceiling and then they put you on a pip. And then you go to job number 2 and it starts all over again. And they say, well, you're technically overqualified, but we need you to start at entry level. Because they come up with some foolish excuse. Right. And then you have to take a pay cut. Start all over again. Again, treadmill. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
And here's the thing. You don't know this.
But
because we're not besties yet.
But we will be.
But you are reading me for filth right now.
What?
Yes, you are reading me for filth right now, and you have no idea.
All right, talk to me. Idea. Tell me.
Because my mom was education is the key, and her brother. So my mom had a brother, and they had 2 different dads, but the same mom, my grandma. So my uncle, his dad came and got him and made him go to Florida A&M for college. And then that set him on this path to, a better financial future than my mother, who was told, marry well. And she tried that because my dad's an engineer by trade. But it didn't work out.
But he's an engineer that is now on the continent of Africa.
Right. He's a very wealthy man from what I understand, but I ain't seen none of that. And my mama didn't either. So she half picked right. So because of that, and because she wasn't lucky in love, she doubled down on this idea of this path.
Yeah.
And it was, if I didn't make more, at least what I made the 6 weeks before. So let's say 6 weeks I made a 95. If I didn't make a 95 or better, I would get something taken away, or I couldn't talk on the phone. I couldn't go to something I wanted to go to.
A 95?
Oh yeah. it was unreal.
That is actually, almost, I was going to say impossibly high, but clearly it's possible because you did it, but wow.
That was her thing. She was like, oh, you can make it. I was in Head Start. And so you get your little grades in Head Start for reading or whatever. And she was like, oh, you can make A's? Oh, always do this. It was like, wait a minute. I'm human. No.
Like an off day, right?
Listen, she was not here. She was not here for it. Because she was like, if you can make this 100, you can always make this 100. You're not trying hard enough, or you being lazy.
That's rough.
And I'm like, maybe I got that and maybe I didn't get this. No, she was a stickler for that. So much so, I would aim for a 94, 95, which is probably why I wasn't in contention for valedictorian, because I was trying to prevent ass whoopings. So
that's hard. But listen,
she was hard.
I don't know if you read that part of the book, but if you did, do you remember where I talked about that exam that
no, the C what
the
was it called?
CXC 11
the
plus.
CXC,
Right.
Yes, and you failed.
And I failed. It was the last exam before the actual exam. It was the mock exam.
Right.
And I came second from the bottom in class.
Yes. My mom would have had my tail.
Listen,
boy.
the only reason probably why I still have a behind is because it has been an ongoing struggle, you know?
Right, because math isn't your thing.
Math is absolutely not my thing. But let me tell you, I passed the final. And I passed the final with actually, I guess, the equivalent of a B, which for me felt like an A+, given, again,
A,
right?
A.
But the reason why I'm sharing this is because I still remember thinking, if I don't pass this, I'm going to embarrass my entire family name. Mm-hmm. And so when you said what you just said about, you know, you were trying to avoid ass whoopings. I'm not sure. I mean, I definitely got some ass whoopings in my time. Don't get me wrong, right? But I don't even remember if at that age I was still getting ass whoopings. But there definitely was that sense of if you don't get a certain grade or perform in a certain way, there will be shame. And the shame, honestly,
and punishment.
Like worse than the ass whooping, right? Because then you get those looks. And the girl, what happened to you? And da-da-da-da, you know, all that sort of stuff. And
right.
so
and I'm so disappointed in you.
I feel for baby you. I feel for baby you. I feel for baby me. I feel for the baby version of so many of us who live in fear. Because that is what it is. It is fear of punishment and retaliation. Because maybe, just maybe, we're having an off day or a bad moment, or some people are great during the term but are not good exam takers. Right. Some people are like can play the fool the whole term but then turn in a brilliant exam, and then but you ask them a question the day after the exam, they have no idea. Because they haven't learned the word. They pass the exam, which are two different things.
Two different things.
But I am beginning to see more and more gentle parenting. And I am grateful.
I love it.
I love it.
I'm so jealous of these kids. I was like, oh, you broke something and your mom didn't whoop you. She hugged you?
Girl, to this day, me and my mom, I mean, we laugh about it now, but I remember once, because you know, mother vision is X-ray, right? They see around corners and through walls and whatever.
They know. They just know.
So somehow around that same age, actually, so I believe I was doing this with her permission. I had nail polish. I was putting nail polish on my toenails. The nail polish was chocolate brown. We had a rug that had, I see you were ready and looking scared. You're ready. You're ready. Like, wait, carpeting is involved. But tell me this. How did my mom see the dark brown nail polish on the dark brown part of the rug, standing up 3 feet away? Ask me how. I have no idea to this day, but she saw it.
Because they mamas.
No idea. And I think I must have blanked out. I don't remember exactly what happened. It probably was not pleasant, you know, because
I can't remember now.
I really don't. I'm like, I know something happened because I spilled nail polish on the rug. And then I went to school the next day. I don't know what happened in between there. It was a Sunday night. The next day I went to school. I don't know what happened in between.
It was Monday.
Monday. It just turned into Monday.
My nails were polished.
They look beautiful. They were very cute, I have to say. You know?
And that's all
my behind might also have been polished. Right. I don't know. I don't want to tell lies on my mom. I'm not sure what happened, but something happened.
Well, you know you wasn't supposed to be polishing your nails on the rug like that. You knew better.
You know,
that was the mentality.
That was the mentality. I just want my foot
grace
on something soft. Because again,
while I polish my
nails, now looking back, part of the reason why I wanted my feet on something soft is because now I know I'm autistic, right? And have sensory, like literally right now, I have a blanket, as we are recording this, I have a blanket over my lap because I must always have something soft and cuddly, always. I don't know what it is, but it's just a thing. I didn't know what it was back then. Now I can look and retroactively realize, I'm like, oh, That's what that was. That's why. But yeah, we don't know. We didn't know.
But there was no room. So this is why I tell people there was no room. But part of the reason why there was no grace is because we were socialized.
Yes.
To protect. So people get mad about respectability politics, and I don't. I mean, I don't agree with respectability politics.
But I understand it.
I don't get mad because there was a time where if you showed your ass, you could die.
You could. Yeah. So it does come from wanting to protect it.
Yes.
And bearing in mind, again, everything is tied into slavery, right?
Yes.
Everything ties back to
slavery.
It ties back to slavery. So when you hear parents say, basically, I'm going to beat you before you leave the house, so nobody has to beat you while you're out of the house.
If I didn't hear that 5 million times as a child,
right? I'm
going to beat you so the police won't.
So yes. Because that is, I'm going to beat you so massa doesn't beat you. That's where that comes from.
Yeah.
That is where that comes from.
It's so deeply ingrained. So it is beautiful to see that we are now at a space and time, even though I don't feel particularly safe in this moment in the broader context of living in the United States. But I take heart that parents are working very hard, especially Black parents are working very hard to allow their kids to exist.
To just be.
And without this need to instill this fear, because that fear, and you mentioned it in this story, that fear has been what's kept me from fully harnessing who I am and the force that I was put on earth to be. And this book, it spoke something to my spirit that I feel like God is working on. And that's why I was so excited to have this conversation, because I know I'm not alone. I know there are so many people who've gone down the path, and they probably shouldn't have ever gone down the path if they're honest with themselves.
If they're honest, yep.
But you're living under all these other people's expectations. You're trying to make your parents proud because they work so hard, and they struggle to give you everything they could, and you want to honor that. And so, no, you can't go off and be a painter or a poet or, liberal arts major and then not go to medical school.
You need to get a real job.
Right. You need to get a real job. It has been so hard for me. And I know God is working. I know it. I feel it. But it has been so hard for me to divorce myself from that expectation, especially when I don't know where I'm supposed to exactly go next. And I say I don't know, and yet here I am.
You took the words
producing a podcast.
Yes, because you took the words out of my mouth. I'm like, is she really sitting out in front of me telling me this? Because she knows I'm going to say something. You don't know. Let me tell you,
but
right?
This is not safe. This is not a profitable venture. I started this with my sole intention. I think the same way with your sole intention for this book, right? Is for the next generation. It's for the people coming after me. I know what I went through, and I started this healing journey, and I want to bring you along because this has helped me, and I can't gatekeep this. I feel that. And that's why for 9 seasons now, I have been doing this podcast, and the business side of podcasting, I have to learn. And for whatever reason, that has been a journey. And so I show up because I don't do this necessarily for myself, even though I always benefit from the conversations of my guests. I always benefit and then learn, and I want to share that. And that's great. But I also have bills.
Right.
And so what are we doing? Right. And so it's been this fear because also corporate doesn't like me having this podcast.
Yes. Because can I just ask a question? You said 9 seasons, right?
Yep.
Right. So that equates to about 4.5 years or so, or how many?
No, it's longer. 8 years. I've been doing this 8 years.
Right. Okay. So about 8 years. Right. So you've been doing this for 8 years. Corporate doesn't like you having it, right? Because the podcast is great. You and your podcast are forces of nature. And if it was some little itty bitty fly by night podcast, it would not care. So it is in fact a reflection, right? Because, they want you to stay and be a worker bee.
Right.
Right. And I'm saying stay, I understand. You understand what I mean? You're between jobs now, but in general, right?
Yeah.
They want you to stay, right, to stay and be a worker bee. God has bigger plans for you, right?
Yeah. That's
one of the reasons why the podcast is still going, right? That is one of the reasons, you have sponsors and you do, there's reasons for that.
We don't have no sponsors yet. So if you would like to sponsor this podcast, anybody listening, to be a sponsor,
make this happen. Let there be sponsors, and there were sponsors, right? Let there be sponsors.
Yes.
Okay. And so all of this is happening because you are on your right path. And sometimes it can be difficult. I had to accept one of the reasons why, apart from, systemic racism, right? But one of the reasons why for me personally, yes, there were systemic forces at play, but I also did not progress in a certain way in corporate because I was actually never meant to. I don't fit there. And so therefore, this stuff, why am I on? This is now, I just started another podcast of my own, right? This is podcast number 3. So like God is also telling me something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So all this stuff that I do outside of corporate blossoms like your podcast. There's a reason why it's been around for 9 seasons and will continue to be.
I so appreciate you so much.
Same here.
You have no idea. I cannot wait. When is the book coming out?
It's coming out on June 17th. And June 17th.
Not Juneteenth though? It's so close to Juneteenth.
It's so Listen, let me tell you how God works. I had a different release date.
Okay.
Earlier, it was supposed to be May 6th. Things happened. Fast forward, new date. And I told the public, I'm like, okay, great. I want it to be June 17th because, first of all, traditionally published books normally release on Tuesdays. So that would be the Tuesday.
Okay.
My community, The Great Exhale, was launched on Juneteenth a couple of years ago. And so it'll be book release day on June 17th. The second anniversary of The Great Exhale on June 19th, which is Juneteenth. And then I'm having an in-person launch event on Saturday, June 21st. So that whole week is I'm like, okay, that's my week. It's one big celebration, you know? And so I'm excited about it. I have so many hopes and dreams and wishes for this book, right? Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'm a human being and all human beings have human wishes. Right? One of my human wishes is for the book to make one of the bestseller lists. That's what I would love.
Yes.
Honestly, when I was writing the book, though, that was not on my mind at all. My goal as a Reiki master, as an auntie, as a human being with some love in their heart and empathy, I want Space to Exhale to be like a portal to healing and to elevation and to self-love, to community care, to all of those good things, and to Black women feeling better about themselves, treating themselves and each other better, and for It's, the book is for everyone, but of course, as you know, you've read it. Everything I do, right, has Black women at the center.
Yep.
Everybody else that benefits, that's wonderful, but I'm always thinking about my sisters, and I just want my sisters to feel seen and believed and supported and held and loved. That's what I want by reading.
And that's what this book has done. You have accomplished that goal. You really, really have. I am proud to know you. Thank you for coming into my life. Thank you for doing the work to help us. This book is going to reach the people right where they need it, when they need it, and the time is now. So listen, guys, if you want to win a copy of Space to Exhale from the Trill MBA show, giving away 5, okay? You'll get them sometime the week of June 17th when the book comes out. You will have a week, Sunday to Sunday, to email us at ask@TrillMBA and answer the following questions. What are you going to do this week to remember to breathe?
Ooh, I love that.
And so the first 5 people that send me that and answer the question and really answer it. Like, what practice are you going to put in place for yourself to remember to breathe? Ask@TrillMBA.com. Lisa, thank you so much. You are a treasure.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm not just saying that because my nickname is Lisa. Like, Lisas are great.
Saying that, so we're really
Lisas
like
are
Lisas.
Yes,
And we're
Lisas are amazing. Lisa, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. You are definitely a blessing. Don't never let nobody tell you any different. I'm so excited for this book to come out on June 17th. Guys, if you haven't already gotten this book and you're seeing this after June 17th, run. Don't walk. Don't make haste. Run out and get this book. It will be available nationwide. Okay? Lisa, are there any websites or anything you want outside of the book you want us to know about, other resources that you have curated?
Oh, well, first of all, Lisa, thank you. Everybody's going to be like, wait, who? 2 Lisas, I thought? They'll figure it out.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. First of all, thank you so much for having me. This conversation really, it just filled my spirit. I feel blessed for this conversation. It was entertaining. It was fulfilling. We did the keying and all the stuff, right?
Yes.
So thank you so much for having me. People can learn more about the book at spacetoexhalebook.com. And I also have Space to Exhale, the podcast. It's available on Spotify, on YouTube, all the places per usual. And that's it for that. That's really it for me. I'm on LinkedIn. Look me up, Lisa Hurley. People can find me there as well. And thank you again. This was just, I don't know. I love conversations like this that just like organically happen, and it feels like a meeting of 2 kindred spirits. So thank you for blessing me like this. Thank you so much.
I'm just a mirror. And guys, all those links will be in the show notes. So until next time, guys, keep it trill. Hey. Well, guys, that's a wrap on another great episode of the Career Management Podcast for Black women. Yes, girl, this show is just for you. We're here to tell you how to play that chessboard at work, girl. So subscribe, comment, follow us on social media at Trill MBA Show. Listen, every time you tell one of your friends, you share this information, you share this podcast, it helps us to grow and make even more dope content just for you, unapologetically. That's why we're here. Now, if you are facing a workplace dilemma, such as a performance improvement plan, or you're not able to secure your promotion and raise that you have worked for and you have deserved, basically, if these people are playing in your face, we are here to help. Go to trillmba.com/coaching to schedule a one-time one-on-one call to workshop your specific dilemma with me. Or schedule a consult to get more information about the consulting packages that I do offer on a longer term basis. As always, you can reach out to us with your listener letters and your questions at trillmba.com. Until next time, guys, focus on your best possible outcome. Ask for help when you need it. Please, please, please ask for help. And as always, keep it trill. I'll see y'all next week.